Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I want to talk a little bit about my finishing process. I've commented on a number of woodworkers that I follow talking about the hard wax oil craze that seems to be going around the internet. There are a number of finishes that have become very popular, and people are saying that they're somewhat idiot-proof, and they tend to be monocoats, so one coat covers everything. I did try hard wax oils. I'm not going to mention names, but I tried two of them. I even tried putting second coats on them, and here's what I found in general. The monocoats, although they do tell you to only sand to about 150, some of them even 120, which I don't think is as soft and smooth a feel that I like. But I did try according to the instructions, and I had a client call back. And what I found is, compared to what I used to use for finishes and what I've gone back to, is you're just not saturating the grain enough. Whether it goes in a tiny bit and fills the grain, it does not saturate the grain and catalyze into the wood grain. I have a longtime client. I built one of my first commissions easily 15 years ago. It was a cherry side table that went behind a couch, about 24 or 26 inches high, solid cherry, dovetail drawers, 3 boards wide. This piece of furniture sat in the client's house all 4 seasons. For a while, the house was kept open in the winter and heated with hot air heat. And then the last couple of years, the client closed the house down and it sat in an unheated house. Now, this piece of furniture was sanded to 220, maybe even 320. Was finished with just boiled linseed oil, so old tried and true, cut down with mineral spirits. For this client, I didn't use turpentine because they're actually allergic to turpentine. They have an allergy to conifers, to the sap. So this piece of furniture had probably 6 coats, very thin, 4 or 5 days drying time in between coats. Steel wool at the time. Now I use 3M pads, the white, the gray, and the maroons. And then another full coat, wiping down after each coat, so I got the excess off, and then a coat of paste wax after that. After that dried about 2 weeks, I did one thin coat of something similar to this, which is a tung oil varnish. It was probably a little bit of a pure blend. That table did not move. The top did not move. The drawers never got wider in the summer and stuck, and didn't narrow down and have wider gaps in the winter. I believe the reason is, and I'm not a scientist, although I do have a technical Bachelor of Science degree, I do believe that boiled linseed oil got into all the wood pores, catalyzed at each application, and therefore the wood, which obviously was kiln dried, could not really move. And maybe it moved a 32nd, maybe it moved the 16th, but nothing that affected. These were true mortise and tenons, dovetail drawers, nothing that moved. So I say this as a use case of hard wax oils. I had a client call back. It was embarrassing, and so I went back to my old finish. And I give kudos to Ian Curtis, whose work I love. Go to his website, I'll put a link on it, and his YouTube channel, of course, who uses a 3-part finish, number of coats, wiping between. So what I use is 1/3 boiled linseed oil, 1/3 of a good quality tung oil finish. I do like this Old Masters tung oil finish quite a bit. And again, I've gotten used to using mineral spirits and not turpentine. I don't know why. I mix it up. I wipe it on, let it sit, and then wipe off the excess and give it a minimum of 24 hours drying time. This is my beautiful top. This is solid hickory. It's about somewhere between 3/4 and 7/8 of an inch thick. Super, super smooth, even though it's hickory. I did do a grain pop or a water pop. I think Blacktail Studios, that he calls it a water pop. So sanded down to 150, wiped it down with a thin rag with water on it, let the grain come up because hickory has a pretty tough grain, then sanded 150 again, then sanded 220, wiped everything down, and then gave it, this is the second coat that's drying now of my 3-part finish. I know that this has gotten in the grain because this was kiln dried and I barely wiped anything off on the first coat. So it all sunk into the grain. It will slowly catalyze. I waited 2 days after the first coat. I gave this a coat last night. I am not going to give it a coat now because as I rub my fingers over it, it's hard to see on camera, but I'm still getting a tiny bit of oil. So it's still drying. I will take a white or maroon 3M pad and give this a rub down, making sure that I get any residual off. Obviously, I am doing the bottom as well as the top. The top has about 1.5 inch overhang, so I will wipe down the entire bottom with a 3M pad, but particularly on this will be the front face of the table, so this will be the front drawer will be here. Particular attention to the side and the front, but I want it to be super, super smooth. What I will do with this, again, this is going in a New York City brownstone, and I will let this dry another 48 hours. I will probably give it 2 more coats, so we're talking a coat tomorrow, 2 days dry, another coat, then probably 4 or 5 days dry. And then what I will do is the client has asked for a little bit of a sheen. So I will then probably apply pure tung oil, again wiped on. It will probably not absorb that much, so it will probably by then be really saturated into the grain. And I will let that tung oil sit. I will wipe it down, probably again 2-3 days dry, and then a second coat. I'll see if I've built up a tiny bit of a sheen, and then I will let that dry a week. And then I will do 2 coats of a very high quality paste wax. I actually use the Old Masters furniture paste wax, which is a very nice mixture of carnauba and beeswax. The carnauba gives it a little bit of body and it's a little of a stronger oil, wax. The beeswax in it means that it is easy to buff out. So it just stays on about 30 seconds, buff it off, let it dry an hour, and then second coat, and then it'll be done. So I will come back to you when I start finishing the legs, the carcass of the table. At that point, I will probably have 2 coats on this. I will start finishing the drawer, as you see it here. This is all sanded. It's been beautifully doweled with cherry dowel, so these are very strong hardwood dowels. I will sand this rail that goes inside for the drawer slide. I'm probably going to scrape this and sand it a bit more. This will get finish and then also wax. On the last Klein build, I was able to slide a 38-inch wide drawer that was about 8 inches deep with a single finger. So I know this works super well. So it's 2 days after the second coat of my 3-part finish. Tung oil varnish, oil linseed oil, and mineral spirits was applied to this. I'm going to wipe it down with a maroon 3M pad. It's very, very smooth, but I want to get any dust that's on here cleaned off. I won't be applying any more finish to the bottom. 2 coats applied to the top and the bottom has really done a great job of saturating the grain so that we're very well sealed. And again, the boiled linseed oil and the varnish will catalyze over a period of days. So I am getting a little bit of oil dried that's coming up on this maroon pad, but it will be safe to now apply a couple of coats of just the varnish. The client wants a tiny bit of gloss. Again, this is going to be a table they're going to use in their kitchen to eat at, and probably some food prep. It'll be about 6 feet from their kitchen island. So I do want to give it a bit more protection. But this is really smooth. This was sanded down to 220 grit. There was a water pop done in between, and this will give a really nice finish. This winch makes things really easy to work on. So you'll notice that I've removed all the clips that will attach the top to the casework. You'll see here, hopefully you can see this, these are the drawer slides, and I put a hardwood edge on here because they're, to make things fit nicely and smoothly, there was a tiny bit of play, so oftentimes I'll put a side guide onto this. So what I will do now is I will also use that 3M pad, the maroon pad. I will go through, the legs are super smooth, as is the front. Again, this was sanded down to 220. It's had a single coat of my 3-part finish, and I will put a second coat of the 3-part finish. On the legs, I may do a 3rd coat and then just go to paste wax. There's no value for me to get a gloss on this. The top will overlay the casework by, I believe it's an inch, maybe an inch and a half. So this will all be in shadow. So second coat of finish, and definitely paste wax on everything so that you can easily clean this. On the legs, I've just broken the corners with 220 grit sandpaper on a very hard piece of actually hickory, so folded around there. I like to just break the corners, but I do not want a round over. The thing I like about this 3-part finish is, again, this piece, thin piece of the top rail and the bottom rail, it will be completely saturated. So unlike a hard wax oil, this is not sitting on the top at all. The 3rd coat, if I do that, might have some top finish to it, or if and when I do a coat of the pure tung oil varnish, that might sit. But these are going to be completely saturated. They are not going to move. They are doweled in as well as dominoed. And the side rails and the slides, again, they're going to be completely saturated, flooded with the 3-part finish, let sit for 10 minutes, and then excess wiped off. So there really is going to be very, very limited movement. Again, this is going to be in a house that's heated with hot air, forced hot air heat, and it will be in Brooklyn, so there will be summer humidity, but that's why I really go to extremes. And again, why no matter how much fuss there is on the internet and on YouTube about how easy hard wax oils are, I just don't buy that they're a good finish, that they're really going to seep in, they're going to They do give you beautiful grain, I'll give them that, but I think the old-fashioned, as some people may call it, finish of the boiled linseed oil, varnish, and mineral spirits is going to really make the grain pop, as you see here. So I will go back and give these a maroon 3M pad scuff, wipe everything down with a clean shop towel, and then give them their next coats of finish. I will let these sit for at least 2 days on the top. I will probably let that sit 2 or 3 days because that's going to the pure varnish, maybe thinned down with a tiny bit of mineral spirits. It is raining here today and tomorrow, and it rained yesterday, so the humidity is a little bit high. I do have a thermometer here with the humidistat, so I can check on my humidity levels, something that's important to do. Especially in the winter, when I've got forced hot air heat here. I do have an electric heater, you may be able to see it on the wall, but the humidity tends to be a lot less in the winter. So if I'm building something in the winter, I'm going to know that because of the low humidity levels, that any joinery that may float, such as a floating panel, that's going to be at its most contracted. So I'll come back and show you these with the next coat of finish and the top as it starts to get a gloss.